Bobbie Carlton, hello.
That is a punchy little intro.
Do you like that? Do you like
I
my little
do.
intro? We got to bring big energy. We got to bring the big energy. Whoa, energy. So for those of you who are just tuning in right now, this is the Speakers Lounge. I do this once a month on Mondays at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. I bring in a new guest that's going to help you elevate as a speaker, to find your voice, get on more stages, all the things that we do as speakers. And that's not just limited to stages. It's doing LinkedIn lives like this, or podcasts, or getting on TikTok, whatever it is that you're doing to elevate your brand and your business, or where you live in the corporate world. We're here for you. So Bobbie, to get this party started, I'm going to ask you a question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you so ready? Okay. Were you that kid that organized the neighborhood talent show? Or were you that kid that liked to be behind the scenes and run the spotlight?
I was quite literally the spotlight operator in the theater productions in high school. Like literally up in the rafters with the big light following the person who's on stage.
I love that. Was there a
Like that
production
was my job.
and you loved it?
Yes.
And was there a production in particular that stands out in your head that you liked the most?
So we had an amazing theater troupe for like a little town in upstate New York. We were, I think, the first high school group to do Pippin.
Oh.
And Ben Veen came and visited our high school.
That is really exciting. Not many kids can say that.
Nope. They
love it.
absolutely can't. We did Godspell. We did Over There. We did. I'm trying to think of some of that. We did Your Good Man, of course. Didn't everybody do Your Good Man, Charlie Brown?
I believe so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah.
But
I do. That's so funny. I just went and saw John Proctor is a Villain on Broadway, and it was really first of all, if you're able to go see that show, do it now. You have like a week before it wins a Tony, so the tickets won't be as expensive.
yeah.
But the first play I was in was The Crucible
We did that
in
one
high school.
too.
See, that's also
Yep.
a high school classic.
Absolutely. Man.
So, well, I'm so excited to have this conversation with you today. We are live on LinkedIn. We're live on YouTube. So if you're watching right now and you do have questions for us as they come up through our conversation, please put them in the comments because we'll be able to see them and respond to those in real time. How exciting is that? But today we're going to just talk to you about how you can take control of your speaking career, how we can help you elevate your voice and get on more stages. And I am so excited, Bobbie, that you're here because you founded Innovation Women, which I'm a proud member of. And there's just, it's such an incredible, first of all, mission that you're on, which I want you to speak into and use your words. But also you're just really wonderful at cultivating community and getting more voices on more stages. So talk to me now about what was the seed that started Innovation Women, and where did it start, and where is it now, and where do you want it to go?
I feel this is like one of those things where it's not like a seed, but it's like we went out and just like threw the grass seed everywhere. And that's how Innovation Women came to be 10 years ago, almost exactly 10 years ago. We launched May of 2015. But the seeds for me were things like going to big conferences and events and seeing what I call the male, pale, and stale panels. Now, the same 4 old white guys over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
I usually have to explain to people that I have nothing against old white guys. I actually married one, and to be fair, he wasn't old when I married him, but 30 years later,
It tends to happen to the best of us, doesn't it?
no. I always say getting old better than the alternative.
It's true. It's
Yeah.
true. It's true.
But Innovation Women really is a mission-driven company. I'm building off the experiences that I've had since the mid-80s. My job has been to get executives on stage at conferences and events. And I see the power of public speaking. I know the power of public speaking for building businesses, for building careers, and I just wanted everybody to have access to that.
Thank you, and we thank you for that. And Precious Williams, I want to give a shout out to you, Precious. Hello. Precious has also been on the Speakers Lounge, and she is an incredible speaker and also a member of Innovation Women. Thank you for being here. So, Bobbie, let's talk a little bit about getting your voice on stage, because I know that can be really scary for a lot of people.
Mhm.
And especially, yes, in this, I would say it's getting better. There's more women on stages, but we still have a pretty long way to go.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, 2/3 of all conference speakers are men.
yeah.
And, like that has not changed much in the past 10 years. It really hasn't. There has not been that much in the way of forward progress on that.
So how do we move the needle then? What's your advice to the people who are watching right now?
I mean, step up, do the thing. It just takes so little to raise your hand and say, "Yes, I can speak on that topic." And by the way, I have a huge amount of sympathy slash empathy for people who self-identify as introverts or
Yeah.
people who might be shy. And by the way, those are two different things.
Yes, they are.
Because really, I am one too. The first time, my second company, Innovation Nights, the first night I had to be the host, I sweated through my blouse. There's pictures of me looking like the proverbial hot mess. I get it. I totally get it. It may not be your favorite thing in the world, but you owe it to yourself and your
Mm.
business and your career to think about how you can get up on stage.
Oh, that's beautiful. I get you owe it to yourself to get on stage into your career. And I would also say I'm an extrovert and I still get sweaty in the armpits. I am nervous as heck when I get on that stage. And so, what is one tip that you can give someone right now who's listening or watching this? What can they do to get that first step in there to get on those stages? What would you recommend?
I usually recommend starting small,
Mhm.
asking a question from the audience. So, picture this, you are at an event. The speaker on stage has just completed a fabulous run, and they've said, "My presentation is done. Do you have any questions?" And a lot of times there's a hesitation, like there's crickets.
Mhm.
People are just, sitting back and maybe they aren't jumping up. I want you to jump up. I want you to raise your hand. I want you to introduce yourself, maybe give a little context, and ask that brilliant question that you have. Not the one that's the self serving, this is what I do question, but ask that speaker a genuine question. Congratulations, you are now a public speaker because you just spoke to the same audience that the speaker on stage was speaking to. And oh, by the way, you are now that speaker's best friend because there is nothing more uncomfortable for a speaker than asking for questions and getting crickets.
Oh, beautiful. So you're what I'm hearing here is how can you be in a place of service with your question?
Mhm. Yep. Don't be self-serving about it, but also think about it as training, right? It's
Yeah.
it's your first opportunity to speak to an audience and you didn't have to apply, you weren't vetted, you just got to raise your hand and stand up and do it.
I love that because I'm always, I'm always encouraging people in my community as well, just like anywhere that you can speak, even if it's like here, like on a live, allow yourself to be a guest, like invite, like send, tell, just ask the power of the ask, right? Just can I be a guest? And it might, yes, it's going to feel scary.
Yep.
It's
Yep,
going to
you
be,
can do it.
but you can do it. It's always going to be. I mean, if I don't know. I always tell people that if I'm not nervous, I'm nervous.
Mhm. Yeah, something's wrong.
Something totally wrong if I'm not nervous.
Why am I not nervous? This is wrong.
It's so wrong. I want to also just acknowledge we have a few more people who are commenting here in this. We have Helen, we have Modisa. I hope I just pronounced your name right. Just like you're so right. Like speaker friends needs to be good listeners. Ask that great question. I love Precious. Just getting your voices on stage, getting them on stages. It doesn't matter how small or how big.
Yeah.
You could be that audience member, which I love so very much. So tell us a little bit about Innovation Women for those that don't have any context. What is it? How can people get involved in it?
Um, so Innovation Women is an online platform. It's designed to directly connect event managers and speakers. For a lot of people, the biggest and probably best correlation is a speaker bureau,
Mhm.
but we're not a traditional speakers bureau. We are a directory of speakers. So if you are an event manager, you can slide into Innovation Women, create a free account, and search our database by topic, industry, location, even where somebody went to school. A lot of colleges and universities love to have their own alumni come back and speak. As a speaker, you have a profile that you create yourself. You have access to a database of speaking opportunities or calls for speakers in the vernacular. Right now, I think we have over 800 open opportunities, and that's 800 different conferences and events. And a conference or an event can be hundreds of opportunities. I mean, multiple tracks, multiple days. Really quickly, you get up there in the hundreds for speakers needed for some of these big events. So we have the profiles, we have this that's a searchable database for event managers, we have the searchable database of opportunities, and we also have a whole area we call the green room, which
Mhm.
is how you get prepared for public speaking. It's all the education, like literally hundreds of hours of speaker friend Friday videos, educational modules, resource sheets, discussions on just about any aspect of public speaking. But wait, there's more. There's also the online community where you can connect and network with other speakers. And I think there's also one other thing, like, when I'm talking about the parts of Innovation Women, like, we're a comprehensive platform,
Mhm.
but one of the most important parts of Innovation Women is what I think of as the vibe. Like,
Yeah.
this is super important to us. And Helen actually in the chat brought it up. Speaker friends, like that's a concept that we are super engaged in. We believe that speakers need speaker friends. It's a lonely world for speakers. And these are people that will share what they're going through, what they've learned, and be there in the audience to support you when you do get on stage.
Yeah. Well, being a part of that community and that speaker friends component of it, I just feel is what really elevates what you're doing at Innovation Women. Because what I love about it is that you have a wide range of women who are speakers in there. From some of them are green, they're newbies, and then you've got some pro speakers in there as well. And so when people are given the opportunity to ask their questions, work something out, um, ask like, what do I charge, for example, is a common question, right? How do I value myself as a speaker, which we can talk about here in a second. But it's really quite wonderful to have that community there that's supporting you, helping you, and guiding you through the way. And you've really done an incredible job of cultivating that, and your team has done an incredible job of cultivating that. So I cannot speak highly enough. And what I appreciate about it is I'm not able to come every Friday, but when I do come, it's just it's I feel like you've got such a rhythm down that you can leave for a few months and then come back and feel like you're still a part of the community.
Absolutely. And we do open it up to anybody. You can come to Speaker Friend Friday. You don't have to be a member. We actually do also encourage event managers to attend
Mhm.
Speaker Friend Fridays. And, I gotta admit, like, Speaker Friend Fridays is one of those things where people come in and often a little like, "Oh my gosh, what is going on?" Because there's like 60 to 100 people on any given Friday, and it's a little wild and woolly at first, but sit back, relax,
Yeah.
watch. You will learn. I promise you will learn.
Yes, you will learn. There's always nuggets of wisdom that get dropped in there, and it's very supportive, and you start to build another community. So let's talk a little bit because we're talking about how do you get control of your speaking journey or your career as a speaker. So the whole thing around how do you value yourself and your knowledge or that idea that you have, can you talk a little bit about that? Because the one thing I do know about your platform, just to get that conversation started, is you have almost 800, you said, opportunities that people can apply for, right? And I do know that some of them are not paid, but there's no pay to play. So let's talk about paid versus not
Sure.
paid versus pay to play, just to help people understand that.
Yep, and when I started Innovation Women, one of the things that I did, and this is back in 2015, we did a survey of conference organizers and event managers. And
Mhm.
I found little tiny events, big events, medium sized events, corporate folks, nonprofits. I chased after anybody I could find who ran some kind of event that brought in speakers. And based on my survey at that time, we had half of the event managers have zero budget for speakers. They offer what we think of as visibility speaking.
Mhm.
42% pay some speakers. They have money for the keynotes. They have money maybe for the people doing workshops, or they have discretionary funds, i.e., for the people who raise their hand and go, "I'm not showing up without getting paid,"
Mhm.
or offer some kind of value that make that event manager say, "I'm going to pay you," or "I'm going to cover your expenses." So that's 42%. Now, if you're doing math with me, math, 8% of event managers pay all or most of their speakers. And we redid this survey the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, and obviously lots changed in
Right.
the early days of 2020. So
Yeah.
I a little bit threw out that data, but the numbers really didn't change. And we had a much larger sample size the second time around. And I looked at it and went, huh, nothing's changed. Yeah, like seriously, nothing's changed. So we take that into account. We also take into account that different people have different business models as speakers. And 10 years ago, I will be 100%, you know, transparent in this.
Yeah.
I didn't really think as much about speaker business models then as I do today.
Mhm.
There are as many different speaker business models and reasons for speaking as there are speakers.
Mhm.
For you, maybe you need to be paid by the organizers, or maybe you have a book and you're going to be selling that book and you are on stage because you want people to buy your book or buy your services. Maybe you would make more money from clients in the audience than you would ever make from the event organizer. Like, these are just a few of the different models for speakers. Now, events are the same way. Some events are selling tickets, other events are free, and a person somewhere is making a living from the clients that they get from running that event. I did that myself once upon a time. So you have to understand event business models, you have to understand your own business models, and you have to put two and two together to make five money, right? So
Yeah.
you need to be compensated for public speaking. That said, there's a whole model of speaking opportunities, which are what we call pay to play, where you as a speaker is expected to pay the conference organizer or the event organizer to get access to that stage. This is a valid business model for some people. Like, it makes sense for them. It doesn't make sense for me as the owner of Innovation Women
Mhm.
to set up a model where our speakers are being sold to that way. So we don't allow that on the platform. There are people in our group who run those kinds of events. More power to them. Like,
Mhm.
if you are clear about that and it makes sense for you, yay. The problem with a lot of the pay to play stuff is that sometimes those fees are hidden. People apply to speak or they pitch to speak and they get a sponsorship sheet back.
Mhm.
I don't
Mhm.
like that.
Mm-mm.
I'm a little fussy about these things. So this is why we don't allow pay to play on the Innovation Women platform. And one of the things that we do is each event, as it's listed on the platform, there is a reporting button. And we ask if anybody sneaks through for our speakers to report it so we can take it off the site.
Brilliant. Yeah. I got hit up with one of those that I applied through Innovation Women, and then they sent me an email and they're like, "And it's gonna cost $2,200, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "Yeah, no, that's okay. Thank you." Uh, so yes, but I do hear that. I personally stay away from pay to play because it brings up a little PTSD from when I was an actor,
Mm,
right?
yes, my
Like
husband's a musician, same thing.
I was like, "No, I just
Any
wanna
of
be
the
paid for my
creative
work. Can you
world.
just make that happen, please, people? Can you just make that happen?" Um, uh, thank you so much for the other people that have joined. Is it Gihan and Felipe and
We
Sophie
just call her
Bettina?
G,
G? Okay, I love it.
which is also my niece's nickname, so I have a special affinity
Oh,
here.
I love it. I love it. If anyone has any specific questions for us, please, we're just talking about how to take control of your speaking career. So if some of you have never done it before and you're like, I have this burning question about how do I even get started? From some of you who are more seasoned, and if you have a comment that you want to leave, for me, this is all about lifting each other up. It's like, how do we get more voices on the stage? How do we get you telling your story? Because personally, my belief is that the more people that we can get up on stages sharing their story from the heart, the more we're going to change this world.
Yep,
The more we're going to
absolutely.
change this world. And it doesn't matter what industry you are in, you have an opportunity to be vulnerable, you have an opportunity to share story, you have an opportunity for connection. And it's when we can make the connection with other humans that's when we can all thrive and build each other up. So, Bobbie, if you could, I'm just curious, like where do you want to take? So we talked a little bit about the seeds, and I love it. You were just like, I threw some seeds out there, and I wanted to see what was growing. Tell me now, like where are you hoping to go? Like where do you want to take Innovation Women? What do you want to start seeing happen? And how can people support you in making that happen?
Yeah. So, number one, I do want to mention for any of our non binary folks or gentlemen in the audience, we are open to anybody. I always say that the guys who want to belong to Innovation Women are usually like the guys that you want to hang out with anyway, because they're totally cool with being associated with something called Innovation Women. Um, and I want to be able to see variety on stage.
Yeah.
Like, that's my goal. I want to have the opportunity for all voices to be heard.
Yeah.
And without, let's just say, a quorum in every industry, in every location, Innovation Women's usefulness is limited. As an event manager who comes in, like, they want to see choice. If I'm coming into Innovation Women from Cleveland, and I search on Cleveland and there's only 5 names in Cleveland, I don't feel like I'm represented on the stage. If I
Yeah.
come in and I search for architects and I only see 3 architects, well, this is not my space. So Innovation Women's got to grow and grow big to actually meet my mission. Now, I do have little missions as well, and that's to support our members.
Mhm.
But the bigger we grow, and at some point, if Innovation Women has 10,000 members on it, well, heck yeah, there is no excuse for any event manager who continues to put manels on stage. And by the way, for anybody who listening in, a manel is an all-male panel. Just saying.
Oh my goodness, I've seen a lot of all-male panels lately. Still,
Yeah, still.
still.
And, like, I think about this, and when I see a manel on stage, what does that say to me sitting in the audience as a woman or a all pale panel? Like, I guess that's a panel anyway, isn't it? Um, a pale panel that says, okay, you couldn't find a person of color. You couldn't find a woman who is a leader in this industry who could address this topic. Like, I want diverse people on stages because number one, more interesting conversation, but
Yep,
representation
it
matters.
does.
And when we do not see ourselves on stage, we don't feel like we could be there ourselves. And let's face it, the male panel and stale panels, like all of the same people speaking to us from on high, has really brainwashed us. Like when we think about leadership, we close our eyes and we see old white guys. That's because that's what we keep being presented with as leaders.
Oh,
So we need this diversity to get a broader view of the world.
I agree 100%. And I would say, it's funny because you say on stages, but I just think in general, like there's this one organization that has been hitting me up pretty consistently to join. And when they send me, they're like, oh, here's one more reason to join. Here's 3 testimonials from 3 people. And they were all 3 white men. And I'm like, you're trying to get me into your group. And right now I feel like I'm gonna be like the only woman. So I feel like those diverse voices is incredibly important. And so if you are someone who organizes events right now and you're listening to this, like please consider, how am I diversifying my stages? How am I diversifying those panels, those fireside chats, the ways that we're bringing people together? Because I do feel that is incredibly important. And so I'm so happy that you spoke into that. I want to acknowledge that we had a couple of questions in here
Sure.
as well. I believe, if I can find it. Oh my goodness. Give me a sec. Felipe, I believe you asked a question. Should there be accommodations paid for by the event organizer if they want you to speak at their event?
So that is something that if you are asking someone as an event organizer to, if you're asking a speaker to travel cross country and put on a show for you. Like, let's think about this, right? The content for any conference or an event, it's 99.9% the speakers.
Yeah.
This weekend, I just spent a day at the WBUR conference, a festival in Boston. And it was the second day of a 2.5 day event. And I was there because Ira Glass was on stage. Like, okay,
I've seen him
you
on
know?
stage. Yes,
Like,
please.
and he was being interviewed by, oh gosh, no, I can't remember her name. Well, Dr. Fauci was there and being interviewed by Meghna Chakravarti. Like, I was more there for Meghna Chakravarti than I was for Dr. Fauci. But, like, we were there for the speakers.
Yeah.
That's what sells tickets.
Yeah.
All right. So if you're an event organizer and you're asking somebody to travel, if you're asking them to put together a show for your speakers, absolutely. You should be covering expenses. You should be Sharing a hotel room, by the way, little helpful hint here. A lot of conferences and events are responsible for a block of rooms.
Mhm.
Like, you should always ask a conference organizer if they have a room for you, because there might be a room that's going empty otherwise. And if it
Yeah.
makes a difference with your ability to travel, absolutely ask. Now, remember earlier I said half of all conference organizers have no budget whatsoever for speakers?
Mhm.
Part of that is they don't have to have a budget for speakers. A lot of the people that speak at their conferences or their events are employed by big, successful, rich companies who pay them to speak. You
Yeah.
know, if you're Microsoft, IBM, Google, like, you probably have people that work for your company, and part of their job is speaking at industry conferences and events. That's why conference organizers can not pay for those expenses. They know the employer will be picking up those expenses. If you're a solopreneur or a small company like me, well, that's one of the reasons that you see
Mhm.
less women on these stages. We're not being supported by a big company. And yes, you look at the hierarchy in those big companies, predominantly male at the C-suite level. Those are the positions that are being put on the stages by the internal powers that be. So that's one of the reasons, like, systemically, you see fewer women on these stages.
So what I'm hearing from that is that if you are somebody who is working presently at an organization and you are able to put your 2 cents worth on who gets on those stages, then please speak up.
Absolutely.
Please speak up. Move that needle. So it's really great, Bobbie, to have you just talk to us about like the ins and the outs of like why some of these decisions are being made and how people are getting paid or not paid. Talk to me a little bit about what's the advice you would give for somebody who is just starting out? Because I feel that there's also concessions we can be asking for as
Mhm.
speakers as well. So, can you talk about, tell us what are some of those concessions that newer speakers can be kind of negotiating with at this state, at this phase?
Absolutely, and it's fun. We have a whole list that you can download inside the Innovation Women Green Room. That's where all of our educational materials are. Like, literally, there's a list of things that you can ask for. You might not get them all, but you can ask.
Yeah.
Um, for beginning speakers in particular, there are things that you need to build your speaking career. You need professional grade video of you on stage, rocking it out, kicking butt, and taking names. You will need a video to give to conference organizers that says, "Look, I know what I'm doing and I'm good at it." How do you get that video? Well, you need to be a speaker. Yeah, like, it's, like,
Right.
quite literally,
Yeah.
like, catch 22. How do I get on that stage? I need a video. How do I get that video? I need to be on stage. That's one of the reasons that we partnered with a company called Answer Stage to
Mhm.
allow our members to create a video that they can use to get on those stages when they are early on in their speaker journey. So that's one thing when you're speaking at a conference, like, ask,
Yeah.
"Hey, is there going to be somebody doing video? Can I get access to that video? Can I have a copy of that video? Is there going to be a professional photographer? I need pictures. I need lots of pictures. Um, can you put me up in a hotel? Do you have a block of rooms? Do you have a room available?" Like, that's something you should absolutely ask for. I also recommend, depending on what your speaker business model is, can I get access to a list of people who are seeing me speak for follow-up? If you have a speaker business model that involves you selling your services or selling a product, how do you catch up with those people after you've exited the stage?
Mhm.
Do
Mhm.
you have permission from the event organizers to put up a QR code and get feedback from the audience and testimonials? Like, there's
Mhm.
lots of different ways that you can engage that audience after you have left the stage. But frankly, one of the easiest is just get a list of who saw you from the organizers.
Mhm.
Feedback, testimonials from the event organizer. Like, I see a lot of testimonials from what I call that random person in the third row.
Yeah.
That doesn't hit as hard as the testimonial from the event organizer who is like, "I hired Bobbie, she was fabulous, and I would work with her again because my audience loved her." Versus random person in the third row going, "Bobbie was great." Like, no, like, the event organizer is the one that hits harder and works harder for you. Ask for a testimonial. Like, these are just a couple. Like, we literally have this big long list. I could talk about this stuff for
Well,
hours.
this is gold. I think this is gold. I will say one of the hardest things to do is to get video footage of yourself. So
Yes.
even it just is, and then even if they have taken video, it's just getting it from them is even difficult. So I would say find a way. I have told clients in the past too, which is, do you have a talk? Is there a training that you've done? Yes. Then organize your own talk. Invite an
Mm,
audience, get a videographer in there. I have somebody who just like they got an in at a university and they taught a class and they hired a videographer to just come watch him do his thing. And so there are many ways that you can get that footage if you need it. And then I also talk a dot. We're gonna have RL on here next month, but
nice.
that's such a great tool, right? You can get not the testimonial necessarily from the event planner, which I think is a huge nugget of gold that you just dropped there, but also just from all of the audience members and then that feedback that you need. And then they can opt into your mailing list. You can follow up with them. It's a really wonderful tool as well. So thank you for that because I know that that's a question that a lot of people have. It's like the chicken before what is it? The chicken before the egg before the chicken. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so we have a couple of questions in here too. So let me just look back here. Um, this one. Hi, ladies. Here's a question for you. How do you get sponsored to speak at events and have your sponsors pay for all the expenses, including your speaking fee? It's an excellent question.
Nice. And actually, it was interesting. The BUR festival that I went to this weekend, I noticed that a very large biotech firm was sponsoring Dr. Fauci. So I was like, aha.
Uh-huh.
Now I am like chasing down the event organizer because we do an Ask an Event Manager series. And this is a question I'm going to be asking her. I'm assuming, though, this is totally a 100% educated guess that the NPR station, WBUR, was responsible for making that match.
Okay.
That Dr. Fauci is not out looking for sponsors for his speech at this festival. Okay?
That makes sense.
Just
Yep.
making the assumption
Yep.
here.
That makes sense.
So that might have to be something with that you do through the event organizers. Several years ago, there was a conference that asked me to speak, but they didn't have a speaker budget. And frankly, there wasn't a huge amount of reason sitting in the audience for me to take that speaking engagement for free. So I said, this is my fee for things that kind of don't make sense this way. And they said, okay, fine, we'll get a sponsor. Awesome. Great. I will happily take that fee. And I showed up, and all of the tables had little table tents saying that Waste Management sponsored Bobbie Carlton. And I was like, awesome. Nothing against Waste Management. It was just a funny little
That
thing.
is pretty, but do you have a photo of that? I hope you do.
I do.
Good. Thank you.
I do. Of course I do. I love that stuff. And I'm like, at the
It is
time, I was like,
awesome. I think that needs
Really?
to be on your TikTok, Bobbie. We were talking about TikTok,
Yeah, along with my magnolia
your
tree.
magnolia tree.
Yep. But
Brilliant.
but I think there's also looking for the people who want to get in front of that audience that you are speaking to. You have to match purposes with them. You have to
Yeah,
find the companies that want to be in front of that audience and, quite frankly, have no other way of doing so.
yeah,
When you
yeah.
match purposes, then you find potential sponsors.
Yeah, I think that's really important, that you have to make sure that you're putting them in front of their ideal audience as well, their ideal
Yeah.
client or customer.
I have one more suggestion on this,
Yeah.
and this is, I hate to say it, a big one, becoming an author.
Mm,
Becoming an author as a speaker puts you at another level as a speaker. You literally wrote the book on the topic.
mhm.
But as an author, you also have so many more options when it comes to your speaker business model. And part of that is it makes it super easy for a potential sponsor to say, we're going to buy, 1,000 copies of that book and we're going to send you out on a tour.
Yeah.
And you're going to go to all of these places and you're going to sign your book and you're going to speak. Like that is a package deal that a lot of companies could get behind.
Okay, so I'm gonna reemphasize that. If you're not an author already, become one. Go write your book.
Go
And
write your book.
there's so many people out there that can help you write your book. In fact, I should actually get somebody on this show to talk about that.
We
Thank you
have a
for
few
that idea,
women
Bobbie.
innovation women.
I know we do. We have so many people in Innovation Women. Yes. Well, that's going to happen. That's going to happen. We have another question just to follow up from what we were talking about, which is um, if we ask for these things, is it fair to ask we get it in writing? I have my answer, but I know what you're going to say when it comes to
Yes.
those concessions.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. And yes.
Now, there's a difference between an agreement and a contract. All
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
If you can, fantastic. Get that stuff into your speaker contract. However, I have done a thing where I have put together an agreement letter.
Hmm.
And it's not rising up to the level of a contract, and I'm sure it wouldn't hold up in court, but it's a checklist of things, like, "I'm doing this, and you're doing this." Like, that little checklist and sending it to them in writing, "This is what I heard, this is what we agreed to." It's not gonna have to run through all of the big company lawyers and stuff like that, but it's something that you can point back to.
Yeah. No, I think that's really cool. And that has happened a lot. I've sometimes just put that checklist in an email
Yes.
just as we're going back and forth too, so that we have
Yep.
that thread. So talk to me a little bit now too, because we've talked about a lot about these concessions. We've talked about how to set ourselves up as a speaker if you're starting out. Tell me a little bit about that. Like, how do you communicate your value to people? Like that speaker one sheet, communicating what you speak about, why you're unique to this particular audience. Um, can you talk to us a little bit about that? Because I know that that's where a lot of people also tend to struggle because they get so in their heads about it.
Yeah. And we also have to approach speaking as a public service.
Yeah.
I see too many speakers and I hear from too many event managers that the speakers are self-serving.
Mhm.
Why do you want to speak? I want to tell my story. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sure you do. I want to tell my story too. We're going to go back to me at age 4. Oh my God, the audience is dying, right? What are you able to provide for the audience that they are able to use that provides value to them? And if you're talking to an audience, you should always be able to, right off the top of your head, say, "This is why people will get value from watching me speak." By the way, we can all go to Google and we can all Google the stuff, or we can go to Chat GPT and ask it questions. but what is the value? What is the reason that somebody will buy a ticket to that event and show up and wait in line and waste their entire Saturday just to listen to you? Because they're gonna get something that they can use, something that they can understand better. Like, you just have to deliver the value.
Yeah. Yeah. So always be in that space of service. Like, how are you serving your audience? Can we dive into that just a little bit too, in terms of content and how we're in service of uh, my whole spiel as a speaker coach is that I'm really trying to get my clients to just start thinking about how they can appeal to every different learner in their audience.
Mhm.
And so getting up, I feel this is just my own point of view, but anymore just getting up on stage and talking at your audience is not enough. Like, we need to start getting more creative as speakers, because ultimately what we want is for people to take that action, because we do have value and we know that we can help change some lives. And so how do we get to people to take action after they've left the room? Not just call us, but actually go do something that's going to move the needle forward for themselves. Can you talk a little bit about your philosophy on that, and what do you feel speakers need to be doing these days to really step it up and engage their audiences in more effective ways?
Yeah. I mean, first off, as speakers, we need to understand that everyone in the audience is gonna forget half of what we said by the time they hit the door.
Yep.
90% of what we say is gonna be forgotten by next week.
Yep.
So, what can you do to be memorable? That's your number one thing you should be asking yourself. If you are providing them with a wall of text or a wall of speech, whatever you're asking them to do, whatever you're offering is just gonna get buried into it.
Mhm.
So, you need to think about what you can do to be memorable, to offer them something that isn't buried, that is a direct action and steps that they can take. Too many speakers, I hate to say it, like, stop short of offering any real value. Maybe they are speaking to get clients. "Oh, if I tell them everything from the stage, they're never gonna hire me."
Right.
No, they're just gonna be so freaking annoyed with you, they are never gonna call you.
Yeah.
So, offer things of value, couch it in a way that allows them to recall it, and give them actionable steps.
Yeah.
Make it so complex. And, oh, by the way, don't try for something giant. Think small, think actionable and small, because let's face it, I don't have the 16 hours in a day to go and like figure out your 400 step process. But give me 2 steps and maybe I'll try it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Less is more. I always say less is more.
Yeah. I have this phrase, I call it cramming.
Mhm.
Whenever you've seen somebody who's stepped on stage and they look at their materials and they go, "I have so much, I'm gonna speak really fast so we get it all in." I'm like, "Oh god, and I'm
Please
running
no.
away.
Please
Please
no.
no. Please don't." Less is more. Like you said it, less is more. Like, think about one thing that they can take away and do,
Yep.
and you've won.
Well, and that's the in the call to action piece of it too. Sometimes I'll listen to speakers and it's like there's 5 different call to actions. You want me to go do this thing, then you want me to opt into your email list, then you want me to do this, and it just paralyzes your audience. So then no one takes action,
No. No,
right?
if it's gonna take me forever, it's not happening.
No, it's not gonna happen. It's really not gonna happen. I also feel like there's ways you can differentiate yourself too by, like, mixing it up a little bit in your presentation. Like,
Mhm.
you don't have to just stand there and deliver a slide deck. Like,
Yes.
those don't have to be your only visuals. You can use props, you can use, interaction with your audience, you can use the tools that they have in their pockets called their phones, right? Rather than distractions, use them.
I
We
saw
can
a speaker that did a presentation and walked out on stage with, kid you not, a full-size surfboard, and I was
Yes,
like, "Damn, that's big."
I
Um,
love that.
but it's like, like, activate the theater kid and, like, go big on the props.
Go big on the props, and I love it when people do that. I was coaching for a big conference last year for AWS, which is Amazon AWS, and two guys came in for coaching, and they're like, "We were thinking that maybe we would wear lab coats and hard hats," and I was like, "Yes, Ann, yes, you are. Yes, you will. Please, please." And they did, and people, I can't tell you how many people have talked to me about the presentation they saw with the two guys in the lab coat and the hard hats. I was
Yep.
like, that it does sometimes it doesn't take a lot.
Yeah. I usually tell people that, think about a refrain or a chorus. You know, if
Mhm.
you're in music, you know that you keep coming back to something.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's a comedian thing as well in
Yep.
stand up.
Yep.
Nothing's ever funny the first time. Maybe it's funny the second time, but the third time you hit it, oh, it's hysterical.
Uh-huh. Yep, the
So
power of 3.
the power of 3, but also, like, just coming back to something makes it memorable. I don't know if you're familiar at all with the Boston downtown crossing area, but in the dead of night, it really is the dead of night and a little spooky, and I was walking through there one time to get to the train to go home, and it was dark, and I noticed that somebody was, like, kind of on the other side of the street, kind of following and, like, moving quickly, like they were
Mhm.
catching up with me, and I was like, somebody's following me," and all of a sudden, like, out of the darkness, this woman's like, "And I said yes to public speaking," and I'm like, "Oh my god," scared the shit out of me. Like, and that's a refrain that I use in some of my presentations, and I was
Oh, I love
like
that.
okay, number 1, were you
Timing.
following me? And you were, like, scaring the hell out of me? Like, good god. But that's memorable. I've had
Yeah,
so many people come up to me in normal circumstances and and I said yes to public speaking. I was like,
and I
"Great.
said yes.
I did something there."
Yeah, you did. You've done a lot. Um, that's yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. The power of 3, and then what I heard too is it's the callback.
Yeah.
It's the callback. Like, how do you get the callback?
Absolutely. You knock it out of the park. You
Yeah.
do a great job. You're not a pain in the ass. Be a low maintenance speaker, not the high maintenance speaker.
Treat your tech team like gold.
Oh, yes.
Treat
Love
the
the tech
event
people.
planners like I love that because they can make or break your presentation if you piss them off.
Send in your slides on time.
Yes,
Yes,
all those
Jen, I
things.
will get you your slides. Like, like, these are the things, like, they've got deadlines to meet. If you
Yeah.
have not set in your headshot by the date that they need it for printing the program, there's gonna be a little bobblehead box where your face should have been.
Yeah, yeah, and I've learned the hard way too. Like, I would say when you're turning in your slides, make sure that's your final deck because there was a time where I was like, "Oh, but I wanna change this. Oh, but I wanna change that." I was getting too, like, perfectionist. Sometimes you just gotta let some stuff go.
And the event manager's like, "I'm gonna kill
I'm gonna
her."
kill that. Yeah, yeah. So, you gotta learn, and I apologize profusely.
Or the speaker that sends you 115 slides for the
No, that wouldn't be me, but yes,
yeah,
don't be that speaker
don't
either.
be
Don't
that
be that
speaker
speaker
either.
either.
Yep.
Okay, so is there any other wisdom, like any other golden nuggets that you wanna leave for the people who are watching or listening right now about how to be a compelling speaker who's totally taking control of their career?
We've addressed so much
So
of
much.
it, but at the same time, there is so much more to address. I've been hosting Speaker Friend Fridays for more than 5 years now, and I every once in a while have a thought like, "Oh, maybe we'll just, like, run out of things to say." Nope. Nope, that hasn't happened yet. So we're talking, once a week, sometimes twice or 3 times a week because we do a couple sessions for years.
Yeah.
And yes, we absolutely keep rehashing the compensation conversation, but there's new angles to it every time. And this industry is evolving like crazy.
Mhm. Mhm.
AI has entered the chat, so to speak.
Yes, it has.
So there's always something new and there's always more connections that you can make
Yeah.
to further your career. And I think one of the big things that, I do want to like we've covered a lot of different areas. Like one of the areas that we really didn't cover that much is creating that credible foundation for
Mm.
public speaking and really making sure that you are the authority. You need to
Yeah.
know what other people are doing in your space. You need to know where you're carving out something that is unique. Do not be the speaker that is one Google search deep on their content. Like, if you're just rehashing what somebody can find online, you are not doing your job. Think bigger.
Yeah, think bigger. And that might take some time, so be patient with
Yeah.
yourself, right? Like, it took I just to speak from my own personal experience, I transitioned from being predominantly a full-time actor creator to being a public speaker and a coach in my own right. But I also had this improv background, and so it was then being able to take what I knew as an improviser and as an instructor and kind of embedding the two. So I
Mhm.
have found my unique angle through using improv for speakers. But it took me a while to figure out how to own that.
Yeah. And, by the way, folks, if you haven't taken an improv class as a speaker, please do
Please do.
it. Best thing you can do for yourself.
Thank you. And I have a community, Confidently Speaking. It's improv specifically for speakers. So,
Nice.
yes. So, and we should talk about that. But so please, yes, follow me here on LinkedIn if you're not already. If you're not following Bobbie, please follow Bobbie on LinkedIn. Also, here's a QR code. I love my QR codes that will bring you directly to Innovation Women. So please, you'll get access. I can't tell you how many resources are on Innovation Women. It's pretty incredible. So if you're sitting there and you're thinking, I want to be a speaker, I'm just not sure, just join Innovation Women because you will have everything you need at your fingertips and you have a built-in community. And you have also speaking engagements that you can start applying for. So I'm here to support you. Bobbie's here to support you. Like, please take advantage of it because we all are here to lift each other up. We need to get more people on stages, more diverse voices on stages. I also just want to say it's Pride Month, so happy Pride Month. Yes, and to that. So anything else before we leave our amazing community for the day?
Just appreciate you so much, like, what you're doing as well. I kid around and I'm like, "Oh, Meredith, you're my TikTok obsession." But, it's like I always go in, I'm like, "What am I gonna learn from Meredith today?" So,
Aw.
follow Meredith on TikTok.
Well, I appreciate it. This has been a joy for me because I've been, in and out of the Innovation Women speaker friends in the mornings, and I've just every time I get in there, I'm like, I learned so much from you as well. So thank you.
Well, I learned so much hosting them. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm pretty much the only person that's been to every one.
Well, thank you everybody for being here today. Please, again, follow Bobbie if you aren't already. Join Innovation Women, and I will see you next month, same place, same time here on.